Hi, it's Mark from Training Spark. In this video, we're going to be comparing Organization Toolkit with Groups Plus. Now, we get asked quite a lot what the differences are between Organization Toolkit and Groups Plus, because if you look at the proposition and the web pages for each of them, they are both aimed at organizations. They both talk about organizations within their features. But even though this is the case, they are quite different plugins and they both serve quite different purposes. And in this video, we're going to show you what the similarities are and what the differences are, and just show you some examples of each. So we'll try and be as unbiased as possible. Obviously, Organization Toolkit is one of our own plugins, and we don't want to sound too biased when we're talking about these, but we'll just try and show things as we see them, what are the key features of each plugin. So we'll start by just looking at some kind of key bullet points about each plugin, and then we'll go into a bit more detail separately. So firstly, the main purpose of each of the plugins is slightly different. We see Groups Plus more for enhancing the management of organizations in your platform. So it's more of a management tool, is Groups Plus, whereas Organization Toolkit is more about enhancing the experience for people in that organization. And we'll show you some examples of how the differences work a bit later on. So what this means is that the way organizations are managed between the two plugins is slightly different. What Groups Plus allows you to do is give a lot of the control of how the organization is managed to the organizations themselves. So who manages the organizations? In the case of Groups Plus, organizations, stakeholders, manage the organizations themselves. They can create their own teams or groups, and they can enroll their own members into your platform. So that gives them a lot of control. They can literally create LearnDash groups and users themselves. Whereas with Organization Toolkit, a lot of the management is still handled by the site owner or site administrator. They are still responsible for creating a lot of the LearnDash groups and organizations and sort of handling it themselves. There are some registration forms that allow people to self-register within Organization Toolkit, but broadly speaking, it's the organizations that manage themselves within Groups Plus and administrators manage things within Organization Toolkit. So just coming into some of the key features. So what you'll find is that some of the features of these two plugins are similar, and we'll have a look at those separately, but the key features are Groups Plus has integration with WooCommerce, which means that organizations can not only self-manage their own users, but they can also buy licenses to do that. So they can buy seats and then allocate them themselves by creating their own teams and users within them. And it's got this great front-end management system that helps you to do that. So the group leaders can do a lot of this from one page. They can create their own teams and communicate with them and see them on the report. So there's some great features there for the stakeholders of an organization. Organization Toolkit, on the other hand, is mainly focused on enhancing the experience for the organization. So what that can do is bring in things like overbranding. So if you're working with an organization and they say, I want my own organization logo on your platform instead, what you can do is show their logo to the people in your platform from that organization, and you can also do a few things like customize bits of CSS for people in that organization as well. And on top of that, you can change bits of content in courses potentially as well. So what it does is it creates some shortcodes that allow you to show certain content only to people in certain organizations. So there are a few bits of functionality that are designed to enhance that overall experience for people in these organizations. So let's firstly take a very quick look at Groups Plus. We have a separate video showing you a bit more detail about this, but this is what I was talking about earlier. The group leader is able to do quite a lot from the screen that looks like this. So this group leader, or the main organization stakeholder here, is managing an organization called the Kale Blazers, and they have a sense of how many seats have been used and how many are remaining. And if you have WooCommerce installed, you can give them a means of being able to buy these seats themselves. And once they have these seats, they can manage their organizations by creating teams. So example, team here. They can also create a team leader for this, which would be a brand new account. And what they can also do is give each team access to courses, and you have control over what courses each organization is given. So they would save that, and what they can then do is manage that team, and they can manage team leaders and things like that, so they can create their own members of this team. They can also import lists of users as well, and they can email that whole team as well. They've got quite a lot of control over it here. I also had a quick team member here. So the members of that team get emails when they're added, but what we can see here is the courses they've been given access to, and we can see the users and kind of look at what progress they've made on their courses. So that's a really powerful tool, and what they've done now is you've handed over control to the organization itself, and what they've technically done behind the scenes is, if we head to groups here, LearnDash Groups, the owner of that organization or a stakeholder within that organization has created their own LearnDash group and enrolled a group leader onto it and a member into it. So that you're handing over a lot of control there. And that's one of the key differences between Groups Plus and Organization Toolkit. Organization Toolkit, a lot of this is still handled by you. You would still go in and manage these groups yourself and create them, that's one of the main differences. So coming on to Organization Toolkit, it works in a similar way, but organizations are sort of listed here and managed by you. So we've got in this demo site here a list of organizations here: HomeTech, EcoWater, Discover, and Rapid Files. Each can have a logo, and you can see how many users are associated with each and how many groups. And what you can do is either associate users individually with organizations or associate groups with organizations. And you can do things like import users and create registration forms for people to enroll themselves into these organizations. But to give you a good example of how this works, you can see here that each organization, you can add branding here, so you can add a logo as well as some custom CSS if you want to, so you can change some of the colors and fonts and things in the interface for different organizations if you want to, and I'll show you an example of how that's shown. And you can also see what groups you've got in there. And one of the other key features is that you can display custom content for members of this organization. So you can use this shortcode here to show certain content potentially in courses or other pages that would only appear to members of this organization. And if we take a look at this, potentially by logging in as one of the users here, so what I'm just going to do is switch to here and view the platform. We can see that we've got this EcoWater logo for this member here, and if I switch back to my main account here, that's the normal site logo there, that Jamie Nanny one. if I switch to another user, this Barry Frizo, this person's in a different one. They're in home tech, so they've got a slightly different logo here, and the background color's different as well. And one thing I'll just point out there is that this custom logo carries through to courses as well. So up here in the LearnDash focus mode, that custom logo applies there as well. So there's some of the main features that are similar. Both platforms do have a basic level of sort of client dashboards. So if you remember there, if you went back to in Groups Plus, the Trailblazers group here, so they have an organization report, and they can see things like the team average and who's done things, what percentage they are through. And likewise, Organization Toolkit for any group has, senses of progress of people within that group, and you can email them and see how many times they've logged in. Both, I would say, are, they're not the same level of report that you would get with something like ProPanel or Uncanny Toolkit, Uncanny Tincanny. They've got some really detailed reports. So they're more of a top level overview, I would say, of organization progress, but nonetheless, both plugins, Organization Toolkit and Groups Plus, have a sense of group progress and progress dashboards that allow organizations to see their own learners progressing through courses. And another similarity is that both have this option to import users into, so if I manage team here, both have an option to download a CSV template and import users into your platform and into organizations. So does Organization Toolkit. It's got an import users feature where you can download a template and import users as well. So both similar and both slightly different. They both serve slightly different purposes. And what I would say is that there's potentially no reason you couldn't use both at the same time. So you could use Groups Plus for management and allowing organizations to self-manage their own users. And at the same time, you could use Organization Toolkit to bring in some of the aspects like the overbranding and options to augment courses and show specific content to members of organizations in the course content themselves. So hopefully that answers a few questions and shows you the sort of key differences between the two plugins. Definitely have a look through the plugins themselves. Both of them have demo pages that you can have a play around with the plugins and see what features suit you best. If you're looking for more of a hands-off approach to your platform that where organizations do things themselves, then potentially Groups Plus is the way. Whereas if you're working with organizations that have asked for certain features like overbranding, then Organization Toolkit might be the option for you. So try them both, see which one works best. As I said, there might be ways that you could potentially use both on your platform. We hope you like that video, and I hope it clears things up. If you do have any questions, just get in touch with us. We've got the support section here. And if you like this video, please give it a like. And if you'd like to see more like this, please subscribe to the Training Spark YouTube channel.